Hello, everybody, and welcome in for the Volquest Stock Report on this Alabama week. Brent Hubbs, stock up for you this week.
Well, I was tempted to go Dylan Sampson for a second week because he's been the best offensive player. But I think it's time to give James Pierce a little bit of his due. He's been terrific since the open date. He was not bad prior to, but the production since that open date has just been a different gear for him. 16 tackles, a sack and a half, 3.5 tackles for loss, forced fumble, and a PBU in the last couple of weeks. And his forced fumble at the goal line was just a huge play. I like the way Tennessee moved him around, Austin. They did a lot of stunts and twists, but they also lined him up over the center. They dropped him into coverage a couple of times. They really gave him a lot more to handle and to be a part of in their defensive scheme. It will be interesting to see how they use him this week against Alabama. I think he's playing well.
He is playing well. And since you won't do Dylan Sampson, I will do the honors. Dylan Sampson is stock up for me. Another 100-yard outing and 3 more touchdowns. He's now got 15 on the year. He's 3 within the from tying the single season rushing touchdown record. He is, kind of on pace for the yardage record, which is owned by Travis Stevens. And he'll need to be good the rest of the way. He's got some big games coming up, and so he's got a chance to knock off some cool records if he continues to play the way he's playing. But he's stock up for me this week. Stock down for me this week. I'm going to go basically the entire offense, and even a guy like Dylan Sampson, who played well in the second half of the last 2 weeks, has done not a whole lot the first half of the last 2 weeks. So they've got to get some continuity going. They've got to get the passing game, the running game clicking at the same time. Offensive line's got to block better. Nico's got to play better. Everybody as a whole has to play better. And so right now, the offense is stocked down. I do think they're close, but what does that mean? How do they get from close to over the top? We'll see if they can do that this week. Stock down for you.
Well, I'm not going to take out I'm not going to pull the cop out answer and just put it all on the offense. I'll go a little more specific than that. I'm just kidding. You're right. It's everybody involved, but I think it starts and goes with Nico. And Nico can't have a fumble like he had on the opening drive. He can't throw an interception into triple coverage.
Yep.
If a guy's 5 yards behind the safety, that's got to be a layup throw. That's got to be better. He's got to have more help around him. There's no doubt about that. I mean, he had a couple of drops, pass protection's not where it needs to be. But he's got to get his mojo back. Okay. I mean, the hype around him was probably too much. The hype around him got way too much, way too fast. When you talk about what he did in the first half against Chattanooga and all those things, he played well against NC State, bounced back from a little adversity, thought he handled adversity well against Oklahoma. Hasn't been as good the last 2 weeks. He's got to get it back. They got to get him going early in this game, make it a little easier for him. I like some of the stuff they did in the second half to help him. Maybe they can build off that. Quarterback gets too much credit. Quarterback gets too much blame, but this offense starts with him. He's got to play better to jumpstart this offense.
Stock stagnant for me. I'll go one of his targets, and that's Dante Thornton. Thornton only played a handful of snaps the other night at the tail end of regulation and then in overtime. Did make a nice, little catch and run an individual play there in overtime. But they got to get him going. He's been Tennessee's their most explosive weapon on offense in the passing game all year long. They need him to be healthy. They need him to be healthier this week and be a factor that plays several snaps against the Crimson Tide. Stock stagnant for you.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to where they are with Mike Matthews. I mean, we keep hearing he's ready. You keep hearing about he's going to be a factor and he's going to do some things. I mean, he did play 13 snaps against Florida, but he didn't have a target. I thought Nico missed him once. He's played 29 snaps the last 3 games. I don't think he suddenly fixes all of your problems offensively, but for a guy who everybody talks about is ready and can help him, like when's he going to be ready? I mean, are they waiting on UTEP? Are they waiting on Kentucky? I mean, when are they waiting to get him in the game and see? I mean, instead of running the fly sweep to Brew McCoy, run it to Mike Matthews and see what happens, right? I mean, try to get him involved if you think he's ready to play. Now, if you don't think he's ready to play, stop talking about him being ready to play and roll on. I'm kind of confused a little bit about where they think he is versus where he is right now. I'll be curious to see if he's any kind of a factor moving forward for Tennessee the next couple of weeks.
I hear you loud and clear. That's a look at the Volquest Stock Report on this Alabama week.